the dots. Yeah, that's just you're too fancy for us. Sorry. Um, so what I want us to think about is we've got this whole first fret sitting here and this whole fifth fret sitting here, and both of them are going to be empty. They're the boundaries of our E minor chord. So I find it helpful to use one of those spots to line myself up. So if you want to build your E minor chord off of your ring finger, meaning ring, middle, index, so going down like that, then think of it as rooting from that fifth. Look at the fifth, and you're just the fret right behind the dot. And then boom, boom, boom. Or if you'd rather build up from your index finger, then look at the first fret, and you're going to leave that empty, and then you're going to build up starting on the second fret. Larry and Ray, do it however works for you, but you may find that for these E minor chords, it becomes easier. I know I talk a lot about having that thumb hanging around the top, but this may be one where it becomes easier if you throw your thumb across the back instead, like that. So it just works as a counterbalance. So you're pushing against your thumb rather than pushing against whatever you call that part of your hand right there. So go ahead and just practice that for a moment. Go from C to E minor and think about how you're building your E minor. And you can even try it both ways. Try building it off of the ring finger on the fourth fret or the index finger on the second fret. C, E minor, C, E minor, C, E minor. But notice that the whole hand is having to switch, right? When you're going from there. The whole hand is moving. And you can even think of it as like that hand moving up. So try building it off of the fourth fret. And you may find if you're going from the C to the E minor, that's easier because what you're doing then is you're taking a chord with the C that's built off of that third finger, off of your ring finger, and then you're building an E minor chord that's also built off of the ring finger. So I don't know, did that help at all with anyone? Maybe. So let's just practice that again. C, E minor, A minor, C, E minor, A minor. And it's just a lot of hand movement, right? Because we're moving our hand from back here to up to back again. Boom, boom, boom. It's really a back and forth that's happening. C, E minor, A minor. C, E minor, A minor. Okay, let's try playing it now.
Daniel, I struggle with going from C to G7 to C.
Yeah, right. Because we've gone from G7 to C, which is, I think, an easy move, right? When you go from G7 to C, all that's happening is that slide up with the ring finger. Everything else disappears. G7 to C. G7 to C. Ring finger just moves up one. So to go back, go ahead and play a C for a moment. Then put your index finger down. And then sandwich the other two. C, index finger, sandwich. C, index finger, sandwich. You know what I mean by sandwich, right? Does that make sense? What I'm saying by that? Did that help? Something to practice, but think about those on any of those chord changes that you have trouble with. I really think thinking about the rooting of it. And I don't mean root like the root note. I mean rooting like which finger you're going to build the rest of the chord shape off of. Okay. Let's try playing this again. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. Desmond has a borrow in the G marketplace. G7 is a singer in the C. C7. C7 said to Molly, girl, I F your face, and then C as she G7 by the sea. Obla-dee, obla-da. Here we go. E minor, A minor, C, G7, C. Well, that line has all of them together, doesn't it? You have to go from the C to the G7, and you have to do the C, E minor, A minor. So good. It's a good line to practice. It's a good line to practice. Let's do that again. Obla-dee, obla-da, life goes on. Pra, la, 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 life goes on. Okay, let's get into a groove. Here we go. C. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can do that little sort of slap thing that I'm doing if you want, or you can just down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Here we go now. Desmond has a borrowed G in the marketplace. G7. Molly is a singer in the C. C7. Desmond says to Molly F, girl, I like your face. C. Molly says this G7. She takes him by the C. Here we go. Obla-dee, obla-da. Life goes E minor, A minor, C, G7. Back to C. Let's do that again. Obla-dee, obla-da. Life goes E minor, A minor, C, G7. Back to C. Okay, let's do the verse now. Here we go. Now. Desmond takes a trolley to the jeweler's store. G7 buys a 20-karat golden C. C7 takes it back to Molly waiting F at the door. C gives it to her. G7 she begins to see. Here we go. Obla-dee, obla-da. Life goes E minor, A minor, A minor, C, G7, back to C again. Obla-dee, obla-da. Life goes E minor, A minor, C, G7, C. Okay, let's do the next part. Here we go. Here comes the F. In a couple of years, they have built a home, sweet home. Okay, so now this is going to be a rhythmic thing going on here. So we're going to do a, let me show you my fretting hand also. There we go. Nope, that was the wrong button. That's the right button. So we're just going to do a one strum. In a couple of years, they have built a home, sweet home. And then C, 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 G, 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 C, 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 C7. C, 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 G, 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 C, 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 C7. F with a couple of kids running in the yard. C of Desmond and Molly Jones. And then the G7. Does that make sense? It helps to know this song, but hopefully we all have a sort of sense of this song. Let's do that again. In a couple of years, they have built a home, sweet home. Ya-da-da, 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 C7. F with a couple of kids running in the yard. C of Desmond and Molly Jones. Ha, ha, ha. How did that feel? Okay, good. Happy ever after in the marketplace. Desmond lets the children lend a hand. C. C7. Molly stays at home and F. Pretty face. C. The evening she still G7s with a C. Whoa. Obla-dee, obla-da. Life goes E minor, A minor, C to G7, back to C again. Obla-dee, obla-da. Life goes E minor, A minor, C to G7, C. Let's do in a couple of years. F in a couple of years. They have built a home, sweet home. C, 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 G, 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 C, 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 C7. F with a couple of kids running in the yard. C of Desmond and Molly Jones. G7. Ha, ha, ha. Desmond has a borrow in the marketplace. Molly is a singer in the band. C7. Desmond says to Molly, girl, I like your face. Molly, C. G7. Back to C. Last time. Oh, bloody, oh, bloody. Life goes on. La, 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 life goes on. Oh, bloody, oh, bloody. Life goes on. La, 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 life goes on. Okay, thoughts on that? So beyond the chord switching, the other thing that I hope we're taking from that is the sense of the seventh chords versus the standard chords. Right, they're all of these really interesting flips. Oh, nope, that's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. There are all of these really interesting flips that happen in this song between the chords. So, right, we have C at the beginning. Desmond has a borrow in the G, and then we switch to G7, and that G7 wants to send us back to C. And then we're going to switch to a C7, which wants to send us to an F. So they're really using those seventh chords to move us around the song in a way that our ear expects, and to resolve the discomfort of those seventh chords, or the dissonance, I guess is a better word than discomfort there. But right, there's just something that doesn't quite sit right in a seventh chord and wants to resolve. Okay, other thoughts or thoughts about hearing that, and the difference in the seventh and the standard chords, or anything else here? Okay, let's do something else. So we were going to do Cementov Mazel Tov. I'm not sure. Have we ever played that song? Is it possible we've never played it? Amy's played it? So let's let's write it out real quick. So Cementov Mazel Tov Mazel Tov Cementov. Cementov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Cementov. Cementov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Cementov. Elanu. Elanu, yeah. Elanu. Ulecho Israel. I didn't have it in the archives, so this shouldn't take but a moment. Okay, so Simon Tov, Umazel Tov. So we're gonna play this in the key of. I think we're gonna play this in the key of D minor. So we're gonna start with that D minor. Simon Tov, Umazel Tov, Umazel Tov, Simon Tov. Then the next is gonna be, we're gonna get a major chord after that. There we go. So then we're going to just go from the D minor to the F. That's such a nice change, right? Going from a D minor to the F. All you're doing is picking up your ring finger. Simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov. And then we're going to get a G minor here. Simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov. Get you just a G minor so you got it in front of you. Simen Tovo, Mazel Tovo, Mazel Tovo. And we're gonna get another D minor. Simen Tov. Yay, yay, la, nu. Get you an A7, which is just the index finger on the first fret of the C string, but we can drop it in there. Okay, then we can hear there's a big major chord coming. Yay, lanu. Yay, lanu. Yeah, hey, la. Yeah. Actually, nope. Don't be mad at me. It's gonna be a B flat. Yeah, lanu, yeah, lanu. Oh, lecho yisrael. Yeah, lanu, yeah. Holy sir. Okay. So let's try just that. Do we want the B flat chord? I'm gonna may as well grab it over here for you. We haven't played it in a while. There you go. Okay, so those are the first two parts of this song. Let's go ahead and try those first two parts together. I can actually probably make this a little bigger for everyone. Okay, let's go and try this. So we'll try it just with one strum per chord to start. So here we go. 2, 3, 4. Siman tovu mazel tovu mazal tovu siman tov F. Siman tovu mazal tovu mazal tovu siman tov G minor. Siman tovu mazel tov back to D minor, A7, D minor. So D minor to A7 is a faster change, but it's a real easy change, I think, right? You're just moving that, picking up the other two and moving the index finger up a string. That's all that's happening there. In fact, a number of these chords, other than the G minor, a number of these chords are sort of built around this shape right here. They're all in this like little region. We got the F, the D minor, the A7. Okay, here we go. Let's do it again. Actually, no. Let's go on. Let's do the next part as we're going through it. So now we're going to do an F. Yeah, lanu, B flat. Yeah, lanu. So is that tough for people? The F to the B flat. How does that feel for folks? Put up a thumb. Let's see a review. F to the B flat. Oh, generally pretty good. Okay. Think of it when you're doing it. It's the F almost like collapses into a B flat. Remember that for the B flat, you want to bring that elbow in tight to your body, and you want to bring your head stock out, right? So you're going from F to B flat, F to B flat, F to B flat. So think of that elbow over here out for the F, and then in and forward for the B flat. So F collapses into the B flat. F collapses into the B flat. Okay, so here we go. Yelanu, Yelanu. Lecho. Back to F. Yisrael again. F lanu, B flat to F. B flat. Now we're going to go to D minor. Yisra, D minor, A7. Okay. Let's take it from the top. Let's add in a little rhythm. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. Siman tov, mazal tov, mazal tov, siman tov. F. Siman tov, mazal tov, mazal tov, siman tov. G minor. Siman tov, mazal tov. Here comes D minor tov, siman tov. D minor, A7, D minor again. Siman tov, mazal tov, mazal tov, siman tov. F. Siman tov, mazal tov, mazal tov. G minor's next. Siman tov, mazal tov. Here comes the D minor, mazal tov, siman tov. Turn around, D minor, A7, D minor. Let's go on. Here comes the F. Yela, B flat to F, B flat. Lecho Yisrael. F lanu, B flat to F, B flat. Now D minor, A7 to turn it around, back to the top. Siman tov, mazal tov, mazal tov, siman tov. F. Siman tov, mazal tov, mazal tov, siman tov. G minor, siman tov, mazal tov. Mazal tov, D minor, A7, D minor. Okay, how'd that feel? That's a fun one. That's a fun one to play. This is our astrology song, by the way. For those who don't know the literal translation, right? Mazel tov is usually translated as good luck, even though I don't think that's quite the right translation because it's used closer to congratulations than it is to good luck, right, in terms of its actual use. But it literally means a good star. And a siman is a sign, like as an astrological sign. So this is a good sign, a good star, a good star, a good sign. Yehelanu for all of us and all of every one of the people of Israel, and over and over. So it's our astrology song here, which lots of, there's Maimonides writing 1,000 years ago in his Guide for the Perplexed, which is this incredible postmodern philosophical look at the idea that all truth is relative and so on and so forth. It's actually 3 books, and the middle book is somewhere between cutting edge astronomy of 1,000 years ago and astrology, because there was absolutely no difference between those two.
Guide to the Perplexed was the very first course I think you took.
That sounds right. Yeah. And I think my mom just left. Bye, Mom. The perplexion, by the way, the perplexion he's talking about is he has this realization that if you really take the idea of God seriously, then religion is silly, right? Like, if you have an all-expansive, all-encompassing deity that you can't understand or know anything about and is the underlying physics of the universe, then, like, to think that there would be any particular interest in a people or the parting of the seas, or to borrow a little bit, water into wine, right? Like, these become silly things, small, silly things. And so on the other side, he says, if you take religion very seriously, right? If you take covering your kitchen in tinfoil for Passover, everyone knows about this, right? Or have seen those videos. No, Kathleen has a look and Ray has a look. No, so maybe not that. So Google Passover tinfoil at some point because you'll laugh. It's one of the ways, if you have surfaces that can't be made kosher for Passover by pouring boiling water on them. You can cover them in tin foil. So some of these pictures that you'll find are funny. Uh, tin foil Passover. Let's just do this. Uh, so right, like these that are covering the couch and stuff, I think are supposed to be funny, but some of these are not and are real, like this White House one over here. Oh, you're not seeing this, are you? I'm not sharing my screen. Here you go. Sorry. So right, these I think are supposed. These are a joke. I think those, but you will absolutely find kitchens that's a stove right there. This chair that's not real. But this kitchen over here probably is real. This kitchen is real right here. It the toilet paper is very much not real. That is it depends on the type of surface and whether it's porous and right. But the Passover is the most intense ritually of all of these things, and so Maimonides' point was right. Like if you take that really seriously, you've created a very small, really sort of silly God for yourself, uh, right? Because what kind of God cares about that? So that's the perplexion that he's talking about. That if you take religion seriously, then God is silly and small, and if you take a deity seriously, then religion is silly and small. And what are you supposed to do with that, particularly when you're living 1,000 years ago in a pre-modern world before modernity and thinking about post-modernity? And yeah, he was a really interesting, very much ahead of his time kind of person. Other than he was a terrible misogynist, even for his moment. Um, yeah, I know, right? Like all the heroes. Yeah, everyone's seen the Dalai Lama news and the all the heroes. The Dalai Lama news broke me a little bit. Yeah, my sister is a Tibetan refugee, and I lived in the North Indian Tibetan community for 6 months, and it's just like, yeah. Um, okay, uh, we want to call it a day. We want to pick out another song and jam a little bit. What are we feeling? Let's play some blues. Great. Great. Let me pull this back up. Oh, must have closed it when I did this. It's covered over. It's covered in tinfoil. Um, there we go. Okay, let's play with some chords we haven't been playing with as much. Here we go. A7, D7, and E7. So A7 we were just playing, right? D7, I like to use my second and my third fingers. And then for E7, move those two fingers down a string and drop in the first finger. So A7, D or sorry, D7, E7, A7. Right? And for from the E7 to the A7, you're at the E7, and all you're gonna do is lift up those two and move the finger down. So there's a lot of similar kinds of shapes that are happening here if you really look at it, right? Um, okay. Here we go. Um, Okay, so we're in the key of A7. Start there. So let's just start with one strum each. Da, 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 D7, back to A7, and A7. Second line now, D7, 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 back to A7, A7, now E7, E7, to D7, to A7, turn it around to the E7. How did that feel? Larry, some of these chords might be new to you. I'm not sure we've played much blues since you joined. Yeah, that was my feeling. So, just a reminder that a seventh chord, a normal chord, a standard chord is the 1, the 3, and the 5, and a seventh chord adds a fourth note. It adds the seventh of that scale as well. 1, 3, 5, 7.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, with time, I can sort of work it out in my head. It takes time. It's not a. I can sit down at the piano and play any of those chords without even thinking about it.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, I know. On the piano, it's so right, like it's so intuitive because literally you're just skipping a white note in between when you're playing, in a C scale, for instance. Yeah. Okay. Uh, let's blues this up. Here we go. 2, 3, 4, A7, D7, back to A7, D7, back to A7, E7, D7, A7. Turn it around to the E7. Back home, A7, D7, A7, D7, back to A7, E7, D7, A7, E7, one last time, A7, D7, A7, D7, back to A7. Here comes E7, D7, A7, E7, and we end on A7. Okay. See everyone next week. Have a nice one.